All right, everybody, welcome back live at Drew's house, another edition. Hope everybody is doing okay. Very excited about today's guest. We're going to get right to him. An old friend of mine from the WBC newsroom in Brighton, Alston. I never actually really knew where we were. I think it was Alston. I don't know. That was what the address said, I think.
I don't know. I mean, you tell me where the line is between Alston and Brighton. I don't think anyone knows.
That could be a whole show. Bill Shields joins us, sir. How are you?
Good. I'm doing well. Second day of retirement, and it feels strange. I'm not sure about it yet. You know, when you wake up for 48 years and you got a purpose, you got to go do something, and you wake up and you go, I don't have to go anywhere. It's weird.
Did you sleep in at least?
No, I'm not much of a sleeper.
Yeah.
No, I didn't. Sleeping in for me is like 6 a.m., you know?
We've talked off the air a little bit about this. You've been a little bit, you're not celebrating retirement too much. You're going to miss a lot of these people. You're a little worried about it.
I'm going to miss a lot of people. I mean, Drew, you know, I mean, being in news, being in the media, it's fun. It's like I was a kid in a candy store for 41 years at BZ. And, you know, and I've said to people here in the last few days, you know, a newsroom is full of characters. There's no one in a newsroom, radio or TV, that's boring. Yeah. And it it made it fun to go to work. So yeah, I know I'm gonna miss it, but I'm not gonna lose touch with my friends and colleagues, and you know that I'm sure that'll continue.
41 years in never mind the news business, 41 years at BZ, but in Boston, but in the news business, that kind of run is like, it's unheard of. Let's face it. I mean, people don't do that for a lot of different reasons. But do you ever look back and go, wow, that's I'm not sure that'll be done again here from people behind me.
No, but I look back and go, wow, that went fast.
Yeah.
You know, there was a time, and I'm of an older generation than you, obviously, but there was a time when that wasn't that unusual. And I think nowadays, if someone was to come in, come into news, they would probably not expect to work 41 years at one station.
Yeah, it's crazy. And did you love the, was it, because Boston's not where you were. Tell a little bit about your background, where you're from, and Boston's kind of became your home, right?
Yeah, I grew up in San Antonio, Texas, and went to a big public school, kind of like Brockton here.
Yeah.
A very diverse school, a lot of fun. You know, most of us old white guys, you know, young white guys, we spoke Spanish, and it was a great place to grow up. Then I went to the University of Texas and actually studied journalism, because at the time growing up in high school in the 60s, Drew, that was when Vietnam was escalating, protests were escalating, and I got addicted to watching the evening news with my parents. And I said one day, I said, you know, I might want to do that for a living. I remember my dad looking at me, who was military, and we were watching some story from Vietnam. He goes, what, join the military? I said, no, be a reporter. And he chuckled and said, good luck. And I just pursued it, and I've loved every minute of it.
Man, so that's how you got into it, just watching the evening news at night.
Yeah, that's what I wanted. I said to my parents something to the effect of, that's what I want to be in the middle of that. I don't want to sit home and watch it on the news. I want to be there. And I studied it in college and got a couple of lucky breaks, and there you go. Next thing you know, I'm retired.
One thing I've always envied about you, watching you over the years, has been you were one of those, and you know, this is such a talent, I think, for reporters, versatility. You could do the most serious story in the world and connect with a family that's going through the toughest time ever. You could also go chase a, what was that, a chicken around that time where you had the microphone in the...
Oh, that was a turkey in Hyde Park. That was a very aggressive turkey.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's what I love about news. And in fact, just a little while ago, I was with my middle son, and he was talking about it. You know, he said, Dad, that was the perfect job for you. You're kind of hyper. And I said, yes. I'd have a hard time working in an office every day. I like being out and going different places, seeing different people. And so you just get used to covering a different type of story. And I think I didn't change my personality or my persona. Every day I was just me. I'm just Bill, whether it's got to be a hard news story or a state house or a feature chasing a turkey. Well, actually, the turkey was chasing me. It doesn't matter. I mean, I think to be a general assignments reporter, you got to just be yourself and have some humanity about yourself, and just stay true to the people you're talking to, as well as yourself.
You know, I remember when I first entered the news business, I happened to, you may or may not remember this, my cubicle way back in the day was right near yours.
Yeah.
And one thing I always liked, and I noticed this with people who came after me too, is, and maybe you just have that way about you, but like the younger people, me included, never were like, you know, afraid to go up and say hello to you. You just had that way of reaching out and making people feel like a part of the bigger team, which I, for one, always appreciated. I noticed you did that with a lot of people. It's you made it kind of a nice team effort in that place, which I'm sure you take some pride in being a team player too.
Yes, very much so. I grew up playing team sports, and I think it just gets ingrained in you. Yeah. But I've always said the radio side of the newsroom was a lot of fun. I think in some regards, in recent years, the radio side was a little looser than the TV side.
Yeah.
But that's recent years. Back in the 80s and 90s, there was no looser place, I'm afraid, than the TV newsroom. It was, the roaring 80s were pretty wild. You know, and we covered, you know, Drew, we did some great stories. We went around the world covering stories. WBZ in the 80s and part of the 90s, we rivaled the networks. I mean, something happened in California or London or China, we would go. Well, not China, it was closed off, but, you know, wherever it happened, we would, you know, the boss would come out in the newsroom and go, who's available to travel? You know, all the hands would go up. You know, it was just, it was neat.
What is that the biggest change over the years? Is there I feel like you don't get annoyed by much, but is there something, a pet peeve? You know, you hear a lot of the people that have spent all that time at one place, not 40 years like you, but the longtime veterans have said, you know, you'll never know what it was like back in my day. But you never seemed to be like that. You were always rolling with the times. Am I wrong on that?
No, you're right. I try to. I'm kind of like a dog. I live in the moment, and the moments are great. And you know, I never. I mean, I remember those days, but today's a different day. So roll with what you got. You know, and I mean, very little would anger me or make me, you know, annoyed. I would sometimes get annoyed with people I work with who were not thrilled with their story assignment or something like that. Well, okay, let's see how good we can make it. Even if the story assignment sucks, let's go see how good we can make it. Maybe make it good for the audience so they liked it. And that kind of annoyed me when someone was being a little babyish about the assignment, you know. Come on, we're getting paid good money to go do this. Let's go do it.
Yeah, that's a great mentality. That must have rubbed off on the video folks as well, because that is one thing radio doesn't really have to do is travel around with. You had partners all the time, and you guys.
I had great partners. I had the best photographers in the world at WBZ. Yeah. There wasn't one photographer I ever worked with in my 41 years that wasn't talented or didn't know what they were doing. I mean, in recent years, I've had several of them, and I'll name them. William Meservey, Mike Townsend, Rick Hertzler. These are guys I worked with on a regular basis, that their ideas were so much better than mine about how to shoot something or how to edit it or how to produce it. And I just gave them free rein. You know, I recognized when someone was smarter than me, and yeah, let's do that. Go ahead. And it just showed up on TV. It showed up on the air at night, and it wasn't anything that I did. You know, I just call myself a storyteller, but these guys could really tell a story with the camera.
When did you know you were good? Was there one story in the younger days when like you just nailed it? Maybe it was adrenaline was pumping. Maybe it was a tough story. Was there a moment when you said, you know what? Yeah, I'm good at this.
No, I've never said that. No, I haven't. I've never looked in a mirror and said, "You're good at this." No,
Come on.
no. I'm just an average guy that fell into a job that is perfect for me. Um, I think I produce stories pretty well, but again, that goes back to a team effort. To the photographers, and in early years, editors, because now the photographers do the editing, but back in the 80s and 90s, we had people who did just the videotape editing. And so, no, I've never looked in a mirror and thought I was good at this. I had a good team, and that's how you produce a good story.
Well, you're damn good at it. I'll tell you that. There you go. We've
you.
talked about that. You've had a lot of that over the last week or 2 or 3 weeks. I don't know when you made this announcement officially, but that you said that's flattering, also a little bit uncomfortable, getting all the praise when people know you're headed out.
Yeah, I didn't want that. And in fact, a friend of mine who's at the Boston Globe found out, and a couple of weeks ago, and next thing I know, I'm getting a call from a reporter, from Emily Sweeney, who's a great reporter at the Globe, and she said, "Can I do a little feature on you?" I said, "Really? On me? I'm just an old street reporter." And that's when I called up HR at BZ. This ball is starting to roll downhill, and management knew I was going to retire when my contract ran out. But so the ball started going downhill, and then it just really picked up steam. And I've just been in awe and humbled by all the attention.
Now that now that you've actually retired, I wonder if there will be a point where maybe you'll be able to kind of step back though and say, because especially in Boston, there's something about that, like, small, it's a big city, but it has that like kind of small town feel. You really do become a part of like families' lives when you're in their living room every night. And and that's what you are. People get used to seeing you, and then they get used to sitting down like you did when you first got into it. I wonder if there will be a moment here months down the line where you go, "Hey, I'm not even sure I realized how much I connected with people."
I think I connected with people on a one-to-one basis.
Yeah.
Because I wish I had $1 for every time someone said that, I'm easy to talk to. But
Yeah, but even people you don't know, I bet. I'm sure there's a million people out there that feel like they know you who've never met you in person before.
I was at a hardware store this morning, and I was walking in, and this lady was walking out, and she just walked by me and said, "Happy retirement, Bill." And I just went, "What?" I'm wearing my ball cap, my glasses, and she recognized me, and I chuckled and said, "Thank you." But yeah, you do become part of people's lives, and I'm happy for that. I hope I made them smile from time to time, or even brought a tear to their eye with some story that deserved it. So, that's nice.
Again, Bill Shields joining us, 41 years in Boston, 47, is that math right? 47 years total?
Yeah, that's about right. Yeah, 6 years in Texas first, and then here.
Unbelievable. Do I remember this story? You and I were just talking one day, probably like 10 years ago, and tell me if I got the details wrong a little bit. Do you always carry like Texas barbecue sauce around or something?
Hot sauce.
Hot sauce. What's that?
Yes.
Everywhere.
Everywhere. I carry a bottle in my briefcase.
Just in case.
Just food tastes better with it. And I have different hot sauces. I don't want it really hot. I don't want it to blow the roof off my head, but I want to know I'm eating. And sometimes you run into bland food, and my photographers, my camera crews used to always laugh at some of the things I would put it on, and I would say, "Yeah, try it. You might like it." No. They didn't want to try Bill's hot sauces, But no, I still do. And one of our photographers gave me a fancy bottle of hot sauce as a retirement present. It's called Truff, because it's infused with some truffles. So I haven't tasted it yet, but one of my sons are off the charts. I mean, they are twisted with their hot sauces because they grew up. I taught them to eat hot sauce when they were little. I think the first thing we put it on at home was home fries and eggs.
Mm.
The green Tabasco is good on those, you know.
That stuff is catching on a lot of things. I've seen more people with hot sauce at breakfast in my last like several months than I ever have. I think it's still turning.
Well, you know, growing up in San Antonio, and my mom was from New Orleans,
Yeah.
so the stuff that came out of her kitchen was outrageous. You know, you didn't know what you were eating, but it tasted good. And half the time it was full of jalapenos or hot sauce. So it just, and it's now, I passed it on to my sons.
Beautiful. What's the back to the news a little bit? What's the biggest story you think you ever covered when just on the grand scheme of news? What do you think the biggest one is?
Pandemic.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then I think the second one was maybe, well, for local flavor, I did dozens of stories on the mafia back in the 80s
Yeah.
and the trial of the Angelos, and then Whitey Bulger and the FBI agent John Connolly. I mean, they actually sent me to Miami to cover John Connolly's trial. But a story that really intrigued me was the 2000 presidential election, Bush versus Gore, and hanging Chads in Florida, because the whole election hinged on which way Florida went before this past election, but that's another animal. But so they sent me down to Tallahassee, Florida here, you're going for 3 days, just come back Friday. Okay. Well, we spent 23 days there and I learned so much about Florida election law, but federal election laws. And it was an amazing, every day down there was something new. And you were learning something and you go, what? Who filed what? Are you kidding me? Come on, get this over with. I want to go home. You know, and it was, you know, I had kids at home. I want to see them.
Yeah, and I forgot, and that's right. I remember you, remember it a little bit, but I was young at the time. But I remember you going down for the Conley thing too, or the Bulger group. Yeah. I remember. I was always fascinated by that. I was always picking Lana Jones's brain back in the day because she was like all in on everything Bulger and knew all the players, or always learning about them. What was that like? Because you were the guy that went down for Conley. Is that almost weird when he came up for appeal here over the last year? You must have been thinking, wow, it's been kind of a strange 20 years.
The whole story is strange. I mean, if you read Dick Blair's book, the Globe Spotlight reporter who wrote Black Mass, I read that. When I read that book years ago, I'm going, I was there on that event. So that's what happened. Yeah. I mean, that whole story is just bizarre. I mean, because it stretches from Oklahoma City and the murder of Roger Wheeler to Miami, and the killing of Callahan, and Miami to Boston. It's just that story is just, I still don't think it's going to end. I think that's the story that's going to go on. Things are going to pop up, keep coming up. You know, I mean, even though Whitey's dead and Connolly's looks like he's going to maybe, is he out of jail?
I don't think
he actually walked. I don't know if he walked. He's trying to get out because of his health, but I don't know. But that was phenomenal. In the 80s covering the Angelos, I had some funny incidents in the North End. Just going to dinner with a woman and whoever I was dating, and having to say, come on, let's finish. We got to finish dinner and leave.
Really? So I mean, I can imagine you're doing some reporting in that, and you go out to dinner in that area. I can imagine you might feel a little bit strange some nights. Were there actually incidents where you looked around and said, might be time to leave?
There were a couple incidents when I was told it was time to leave.
Really?
Yeah.
That is fascinating.
Well, yeah, it wasn't at the time. At the time, it was just like, come on, finish up, and let's go.
Wow. So they didn't appreciate some of the truth telling there, huh?
They weren't, I never felt threatened. It was more like, you're on our territory now, so just please go ahead and leave. And it wasn't, I didn't feel imminently threatened. And I kept going back because I love the North End. I love the food. I love the people. I kept going back like an idiot.
Oh man. How about some of like the lighter stories and obviously it turned into a serious one, 8 years ago. But how about like doing the marathons, something that's so uniquely Boston? Did you enjoy those too, those days?
I had a blast doing the marathon coverage. I didn't do it every year, and excuse me, I got a little frog in my throat. When the marathon bombs went off, ironically, I had that week off, and I had my two younger sons with me, and we were just arriving in Key West to go tarpon fishing. And one of my sons sitting next to me said, "Dad, there's been an explosion," and at the finish line, I thought it was, a generator from the meteor or something. And then he said, "No, there's another one now." And I went, "Uh-oh." We got into our condo in Key West. I flipped on CNN and told the boys, I said, "Look, this is unbelievable. I think I better go back to Boston." And my sons were 15 and 17, the two younger ones at the time. And they said, "You can't do that." I said, "Look, the condo's paid for, the charter boat's paid for, car's paid for. All you got to do is get back to Miami by Friday." And they said, "Dad, you'll get arrested for abandoning us down here." So I stayed, but I really wanted to cover that. But I had a funny incident doing the marathon. I was live at Heartbreak Hill, and my photographer, Chris Gobeil, would run alongside me. And as people were making a crest of it all right there, we'd run up to him and say, "Congratulations, you just made Heartbreak Hill. How was that?" And they were usually breathless, going, "Oh, that's great. I'm so tired." And one young lady, she was probably mid-20s, and we ran up to her live. And I said, "You just made up Heartbreak Hill. Congratulations." And she looked at me and just burst out in tears on live TV. And I'm like, "Whoa, what was that all about?" And of course, I wasn't a long distance runner, so I couldn't appreciate that moment, that emotional toll that it took on her at that moment. But,
yeah, my wife's doing it in a couple of weeks. It's crunch time.
Good for her.
Crunch time for the runners right now.
Yes. That's going to be weird having it in October,
Yeah, it is. I was just thinking about that today because one thing, you forget about is, maybe the Red Sox might be playing, but it's not going to be your normal, marathon morning game. That's going to be kind of weird too.
Yeah, and some of the marathons that I've been at, where there was still snow on the ground and it was cold.
Yeah.
And a couple of them, it was like perfect spectator weather. It was 80 and sunny, but it's not good for the runners. But so yeah, it's gonna be weird in October, but hopefully it'll be nice weather.
How about that being such a sports town? You have been here through all of it. The really bad days of Boston sports. And you got the payoff of all the glory years too, which very few can say that around here.
But what people don't realize, old people like me do, the 85, 86, all four of our major teams went to the playoff finals.
Yeah.
And all four lost.
Yeah.
But, but that was a great year. They were all great. The Patriots got beat that year by the Chicago Bears.
Yeah.
And I went to that. They sent me down to New Orleans to do stories on the nightlife, the food, the music, and that was a blast.
Good thing, because the game wasn't very good.
No, was it? No. Chicago Bears defense was unbelievable. But that was a great sports year. The Bruins were in the Stanley Cup Finals. I think that was Edmonton beat us.
Yeah.
Maybe.
I think you're right. Yeah.
But that was a great year.
Did you ever meet Buckner after the?
No, I did not.
No.
But I would have told him that, look, dude, it was one little mistake, and this is a team game. Don't worry about it.
Yeah. General theme of this interview here is I think that's coming across. Team player Bill Shields. There were a lot of. I know, like for instance, I'll give you one name drop here from my side. I know. Dave Robichaux, who I'm close with, has been on this show before, and he absolutely raves about you, not only as a reporter, but as a man and a good friend. I'm sure you guys have some stories.
Oh yeah, not that we can tell in this setting. Roby's a nut. Roby is one of the funniest human beings that walked the face of the earth. And he he can make a living as stand-up comic probably, but he chooses academia. But that is a funny guy.
He's a good man. You ever go to a
Yeah.
Springsteen show with him back in the day?
No, I did not. No, but he's got another band he's following. I've never heard of him. He told me the other night. I can't remember the name of the band.
Dawes?
What?
Dawes?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's who he's following around. I think he's going to Pennsylvania this weekend
Yeah.
no, this past weekend. I think he
And
went to
Nashville
Pennsylvania.
too. He's going to Nashville too, I think. So I think he was at the show. They were in town like 2 weekends ago, which is why I know this. And Dawes had like COVID in their band, so they had to cancel the show in Boston.
He told me about, yeah. He didn't hesitate. He pivoted real quick.
Yes.
And went to another show somewhere. I don't know where. Maybe the Paradise or something. I don't know.
I think he went to Jason Isbell at the Wang Theater because that's how we were talking. We were almost going to that one too, and then I couldn't get there, but he made it there. So he had a fine night either way. But another good man. How important is that to you? Like not even in your own newsroom. You guys have like camaraderie between reporters from other stations when you go to these places.
Oh yeah.
I don't think people realize that. I think people think it's always competitive and try to get the story first.
Well, it is true. I mean, but I have a lot of friends that work for other TV stations, but I'm still going to try to beat them on a story. I won't cut them off at the knees to do it.
What will you do? No.
I want to tell the story and as best I can, but I'm not gonna burn a friend, a colleague or somebody to do it. I'm not. There are reporters that are like that, but I'm not one of them. I'm sorry. I love it when I beat them, and but they know I'm not being mean about it. That I just got lucky that day, and that's generally what it is. When you beat someone, you got lucky. I mean, you could go do a door knock at somebody's house that everybody's after, and when you knock on the door, they're not home. But then you leave, they come home, the next guy goes and knocks on the door and gets the exclusive interview. So that's just a matter of luck. So it all boils down to that some days. But no, I'm friends with a lot of reporters from the other stations,
Best interview you ever had? Who was maybe caught you off guard? Who was the one that will always stick with you? Like that was just a great one-on-one.
Wow. What comes to mind is, I don't remember his name. He was a survivor of the Nazi concentration camps, not Auschwitz, I think it was Belsen. And I'm in his home in Newton, and I forget what the story was. And he was an old man then, and we sit down to do the interview, and I'm asking him whatever I'm asking him about, and he moves in his chair, and his sleeve comes up, and I could see the tattoos, from the camp on his arm. And then I looked in his eyes. He had blue eyes. I looked in his eyes, and I completely forgot what he was saying because I was looking in his eyes thinking, the things this man has seen and endured that I can only read about. I have no concept of what he endured. And I'll never forget that interview. Oh, I don't know what we talked about. I don't know the subject of the story, but I remember seeing the tattoo and looking in his eyes and thinking, oh my God, this guy survived that. And it was one of the notorious ones. It wasn't Auschwitz. I think it was, I can't think of the name. 2 words, Belsen, Birkenau or something like that. I forget, but.
Powerful stuff.
Yeah, it was unbelievable just looking in that man's eyes. And he, after all he went through, he had his wits about him, his humanity. You would have never known. He was just a normal guy living in Newton,
Yeah, man, that's great memory. What is that the moment where maybe you caught yourself? That obviously wasn't a live interview. Was there ever a moment on air live where you were like, I'm a little maybe frazzled or something happened that just has caught you off guard? Was there ever a moment like that on live TV where you just said, "Ooh, I almost lost it there for a second"?
Not really, except for last Friday when they were fawning over me, and I got kind of choked up.
Yeah.
When I saw the video, that was a complete surprise to me that they produced, that
Mm.
Sean Barnacote and Jim Harrington produced. I was just, I mean, that was a lot. They went back to the 80s and found old stories of mine.
Yeah.
That was something,
Great. There's been
Yeah.
you guys have had I mean, I guess every newsroom has. I think there's been a few in recent years. So you guys have had some tough losses of people. I know you guys lost Jim Murphy over there since we've left. Another great producer, and I mean, I know there's been some losses in the newsroom, and it is true. People don't, I think, realize that about newsrooms sometimes. Is you all become very close. It's like a family. So
Oh yeah.
when somebody passes away, everybody feels it. When somebody retires, everybody feels it. Those aren't people that you're going to see every day anymore. It's a unique job. I don't think every job is like that.
No, and that's again, I fell into the only job that I would have done for 41 years. I mean, that newsroom was great. The people that I've known over the years that came and went or retired or passed away. I mean, there's a name that you don't know, that most people don't know. His name was Charlie Caleras. One of our photographers, grew up in Chelsea. When I came to Boston, he lived in Revere with his family. One of the most solid human beings you could have ever met. And he retired probably 15 years ago or so, and he died about 3 or 4 years ago. What a great human being. And he was just part of the fabric of that newsroom, great photographer, but just came in every day. Whatever you needed done, yep, I can do that. And if you needed help at something, he was the first to jump in and help you, whether it be wiping the snow off your car or whatever,
Yeah.
Just a great guy, and great guy to have at your back. When things got a little dicey, he was a good guy to be with. He knew I'd have his back and he'd have mine. So, in fact, there was one time in South Boston at a funeral for a kid that had a lot of friends who weren't particularly what the police would say were upstanding citizens. And all the media's there, and things got a little hectic outside afterwards. And I ended up, Charlie Caleras and I, and a guy named Jake O'Halloran from Channel 5, a photographer. Jake and Charlie and I ended up in a kind of a triangle with our backs to each other, as a defensive position. And it never got really bad, but it was funny. That's the way Charlie Caleras was. Man. Chelsea kid. He could hold his own.
All right, very good. I kind of like ending there. All right, rapid fire, final minute here. What's the hobby in retirement? What's it going to be?
Boating. Buy a bigger boat. I spend a lot of time on the ocean. I love being on the ocean.
Fisherman.
Yep.
All right.
I love that. I would say skiing in the winter, because I used to ski every weekend. I used to ski race as a senior, but my knees are shot now, so I've always said I'm not going to Florida in the winter because there's too many old people there. But now I'm one of them. Maybe I'll end up in Florida.
Do you think you don't think you ever will?
No, I think maybe Charleston, South Carolina.
Yeah, beautiful spot.
Or go back to San Antonio for a couple of months, and just play golf with my old high school buddies. There's a bunch of us that we all played high school football together. We're still tight. There's 8 of us.
Yeah.
And but my wife says, "Oh, that'll be great. You go off, play golf, drink beer, eat Mexican food, and I just sit here all day." I said, "Yeah, what's wrong with that?" Sounds great to me.
That did sound pretty good. Get the yeah, excellent. I mean, that's what I'm thinking. I think the golf thing might be right up your alley. And I played South Carolina 2 years ago. We did that golf trip. I know I haven't done San Antonio, but South Carolina, Myrtle Beach, man, beautiful, beautiful golf courses.
Yeah, and Hilton Head, yeah. But my wife and I like to go. We've been to Charleston on several occasions just to eat.
Just to eat?
I mean, just to eat. We flew down there for 3 days to eat, and
yeah.
I just love the food down there, man. If I can find good shrimp and grits, I'm all over it, man.
Little hot sauce.
Little, it depends on the shrimp and grits. You know, sometimes they got chopped up jalapeno in them already,
Yeah.
but I don't want to ruin the flavor with hot sauce. I don't want to change the flavor. That's a delicate dish, kind of. And yeah, if it needs it, sure, I'll have it on me.
All right, final one, Bill Shields. What's that? We got a lot of the young kids that watch the show. A lot of like high school age and college kids that played sports or made headlines in their community. What's the best career advice you ever got?
Do what you love, then it'll never be a job. It won't be work. And don't. There's a country western song out right now that says something like, don't chase the dollar, chase the dream. And that's it. I mean, don't work your ass off for money. You won't enjoy it. Try to find something you enjoy. I know that's not always possible, but try it. Keep looking around. You find something that, hey, this is fun. I like getting up and going. I love that for 47 years, getting up and going to work. It wasn't work to me.
Yeah.
I get to see some people and do some things, knock on some door, some criminal get swung at, that was fun.
Good times.
Yeah, a couple of times they came through the door at me,
Oh man, well, you could tell you loved it, man. Congratulations on an unbelievable career. Congrats on the first week of retirement. I know you'll settle in and I don't know, maybe start getting that handicap down. Do whatever you gotta.
Yeah, I'll do a lot of things. I also do gardening, and I actually, on my first day of retirement yesterday, I went down to the Cape, saw the grandkids. That was a blast. I haven't spent as much time with them as I want to. So, yeah, it'll work out. I'll actually got some product. The honeydew list around the house is a mile long.
Mine is too. Bill Shields, man, it's been a pleasure watching you all these years. Pleasure hanging out with you in the newsroom. What an honor that was. And
that was fun, Drew. I love seeing you guys. I love the radio side. It was fun.
I was telling my wife the other day, I go, every time Bill saw me, I think until I was probably, until the day we moved out of that newsroom when I was, 31, 32, you called me kid.
Well, I'd still call you kid.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Wait till you get to be 69 and see you are a kid. You look like my middle son with the man bun and the nicely trimmed beard.
Yeah. Yeah, this is pretty good shape. I had a wedding this past weekend, so it's pretty good right now.
Yeah, it looks good. Nice and trimmed up,
Bill Shields, man, pleasure. Thanks for taking a few moments. I know you've had kind of a crazy week or two here as you settle.
No problem, Drew. I enjoyed it. Make sure you say hi to everybody over there in Medford now. Miss you guys.
Will do, my man. Have fun with this next chapter, all right?
And make sure that Flaherty guy keeps on the job,
Yeah, will do. Bill Shields, everybody. All right. How much fun was that? The one and only Bill Shields, 41 years in Boston, 47 years in the news business as a reporter. Unbelievable. Hope you enjoyed that. I think I'll leave it at that. Nothing more I can say. Thank you, Shieldsy. And what a ride. All right. Live at Drew's house, another edition. See you next time, everybody.